For 3 hours, Katt Williams was on Shannon Sharpe's Club. The Shay Shaw podcast has criticism of Steve Harvey, Cedric the Entertainer, Kevin Hart, and even P. Diddy. He says they got together to silence Terrence Howard, burying his talent and cutting him down to save face. It's not a friendly roast. It's a straightforward indictment of Hollywood's corrupt activities. Let's look at some of his most amazing unrestrained outbursts.
I'm afraid about being blackballed again. These are some power people.
These people are not powerful. Satan can't create anything. That includes blessings for his people. You know what the number one job of somebody that sold their soul in Hollywood is? Is to act like it didn't happen. They all do the same job. But I'm not scared of being the competition. Yeah, on paper, they're a better team. They have all the assets and resources that we don't. But let us get on the line, boy, and see if that factors in. I guarantee you it won't. All of these shortcut takers, they canceled me for talking about Harvey Weinstein before the thing came out, but he offered to suck my in front of all my people at my agency. I told him no, what y'all do? And this is why when I walk in a room, heads go down. Behind my back, I'm nothing. I'm just a regular old comedian, but in my face, Hollywood is not really there to entertain you. Like, that's great that happens, but propaganda is something that is important to all civilization.
Well, propaganda in Hollywood movies is built into the ingredients list. It's like, if you want flour, you need wheat.
Show me one person that ever wore a dress in Hollywood unsuccessfully. So 20 years ago, I knew that transgenders was going to be a thing. The earliest I had seen that word transgender was Baphomet, the transgender. In the ritual of Baphomet, the transgender, to show allegiance to him, you had to kiss his ass ring.
Really?
And it said both of those things. So I knew that both of those things will become popular in the future.
I've lost businesses because I don't bend over in that way. I don't compromise. I don't play gay roles. I don't kiss a man. I don't do that shit because the man card means everything.
Are you done with Hollywood because of this specific reason?
I'm still working. I still, I haven't made the money necessary to do all of the other stuff. So I still have to go and do the chitlin circuit. I still have to do the job that I need.
I'm a big fan of your work. When you came in, the first thing I said is the character, Harvey, Gordon, from fighting, right? The way you would speak, the way you would move. But this is the first time we saw you talking about you leaving Hollywood, Rob. If you want to play this clip, go for it.
Terrence Howard here. You made huge headlines when you said after you complete these 15 episodes of Empire, you got to walk away for a while or forever.
For good. Everyone keeps trying to tell me don't say it's forever, but I've spent 37 years pretending to be people so that people can pretend to watch and enjoy what I'm doing when I've made some discoveries in my own personal life with the science that Pythagoras was searching for. I was able to open up the flower of life properly and find the real wave conjugations that we've been looking for 10,000 years. Why would I continue, walking on water for tips when
Avoid being an idiot. Instead of just doing it for show, Katt Williams is exposing a system that stifles true talent like Terrence Howard. He even accused Cedric the Entertainer of stealing one of his jokes on BET's Comic View in the 1990s, which went beyond simple theft and hurt all the authors. Hollywood also ignores fresh viewpoints and uses power to stifle anyone who dare to speak up, like they did with Terrence. Howard 4 in favor of safe bets and large payouts.
To physically get up and go and walk 24 minutes. Any play. If you ever been in a fight, bro, if you get outside yourself for the moment that you literally about to fight another person, you're not who you are. It just don't happen unless you're a brute.
Right.
Like if you're a brute and you walk around thugging people, right, that's you. But most human beings, dog, for me to literally go, I'm gonna walk up and slap shit out. I'm not me right now. I'm outside my normal way of being.
I'm just saying I can't let these dudes lie. Cedric's sitting here telling you why he ain't a movie star. He over here look like a walrus. You didn't say nothing. He can't even get his arms off his stomach sitting over here. Why I'm not a movie star. Never wrote anything. Remember, when Cedric the Entertainer starts, he's supposed to be singing, dancing, and telling jokes. That's why he's called the Entertainer.
Right.
We found out he can't sing, can't dance, and doesn't write jokes. He did 4 comedy specials. They're so bad, Shannon, they're not available on Netflix or Tubi. Can I say that again for the audience? They're so bad that they're not available on Netflix or Tubi.
You don't think Sam's a good comedian?
The world doesn't think that, sir. I have 12 comedy specials. He has 4 specials that are not available on Netflix or Tubi. Winners are not allowed to allow losers to rewrite history. Cedric told you when you asked him, did you steal Katt Williams' joke? Yeah. He said, it don't line up. He thought that I was just a no-name comedian and that he could take this joke and nobody would know.
He's looking at it like this. If I allow comedians or other comedians to steal my jokes, then what am I? You stealing my material. When they sued Blurred Lines, Robin Thicke, and
Marvin Gaye's estate.
We see this quite often. And he's like, do you understand how long you have to tell a joke to refine it? What's the likelihood you go out there in a game, a play that you hadn't practiced?
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's only so many comedians. My thinking is we need to keep us all tight and feed off of each other, but to have us going back and forth like this, I think it does us a disservice in that community.
Yeah.
Him and Steve had already apologized for me, so I gave him a pass for a decade. Why would you sit here and be like, I saw Katt 30 times and Katt didn't do as I stand before you, Shannon? I would have bust Cedric's stomach. There was nothing that would have kept me from one of these in that patch right there. Like, are you kidding me? Why would you downplay me like that?
Iron Man, it says you were the highest paid guy in that movie at $4.5 million, and they only paid Robert Downey Jr. $500,000. Is that accurate?
Maybe. I don't know what they paid him exactly, but they weren't giving him any grace, and, you know, he was phenomenal. He deserved to get higher pay later on. He really did, from the work he did.
Did you guys ever talk about it? Like $500,000 for Robert Downey Jr.?
No, he was just coming in. Remember, after we did the first one and it made $1 billion, they still came to all of us and was like, oh, you know, I know we're supposed to pay you $8 million for the next one, but and we did a 3-picture deal. We're gonna let you come back for $1 million. For 1/8 of what even though we had a success with what we did, we're gonna let you come back for $1 million.
Let you come back.
They did that to all of the actors. Marvel came and did the shakedown on everybody.
Why would they do that, though?
They can Terrence Howard, who is renowned for his raw talent and ability to express his opinions, dropped a surprise on Patrick Bet-David's PBD podcast. It wasn't all glitz and glitter at Diddy's festivities. The most well-known figures in Hollywood sacrificed their honor for the opportunity to become famous. These were not just wild nights of drinking and music. They were setups intended to dehumanize individuals and strip them of their power. His revelations reveal how depressing things may get behind closed doors.
All these things to his house. I thought he would evaluate them. I thought he would send them throughout his friends. And then I watched him go on Piers Morgan and literally say that 99% of everything I said was bathwater, was bullshit. The Howard comma.
He said that afterwards?
Yeah, he said
you guys
this.
Getting on together.
He did this after our talk on Joe Rogan, but before our meeting when I went to his house. So I let that go, him saying that 99% of everything I was doing was bathwater. And then he said, the one thing that might be good is this linchpin. But he got there by a mistake, which I clearly showed that it wasn't a mistake, the 109.47. But he said that everything I did was just by accident and nothing had value.
What was the consequences when you said no?
Puffy invited me for weeks asking me to come and teach him how to, wanted me to be his acting coach for a while. Go there and he's sitting around just looking. I'm like, okay, what's the material you want to work on? He's just looking at me. Then next thing you know, okay, hey, will you help me? I want to hear your music. So I come over there and I play the music. And he's sitting there, just looking at me, like waiting. Okay. So then my assistant was like,
You know, he wants to hang out with you next week. And I was like, for what? He's like, I think he's trying to fuck you. That's what my assistant said. I was like, oh, okay. Now I get it. So now no more communication. Now you know to be hands off with somebody. A number of producers coming to make the approach, and you threaten to punch them in the mouth or threaten to knock their head off for talking to you like, or looking at you like you're a woman.
When Diddy accepted Howard as a mentor, he was setting up a trap. Howard saw a look that said, "I'm here to use you," instead of giving him advice. According to him, other well-known producers do the same, hiding their worst crimes behind fame and fortune. Once you lose your masculinity, you can never get it back. He warned that questioning these arrangements will cause you to lose your individuality and the respect you deserve for the rest of your life.
What the number one job of somebody that sold their soul in Hollywood is? What? Is to act like it didn't happen. They all do the same job. In 15 years in Hollywood, no one in Hollywood has a memory of going to a sold-out Kevin Hart show, there being a line for him ever getting a standing ovation at any comedy club. He already had his deals when he got here. Have we heard of a comedian that came to LA and in his first year in LA, he had his own sitcom on network television and had his own movie called Soul Plane that he was leading? No, we've never heard of that before that person or since that person. What do you think a plant is? Maybe people don't understand the definitions of these words. These people are not powerful. Satan can't create anything. That includes blessings for his people. That's why
Kevin Hart wearing a dress in the SNL skit, and Dave Chappelle spoke about that as a comedian. Black actors are always, being asked to wear dresses. Have you ran into that? And what do you think about that whole Illuminati theory that people put out there about that?
Well, thanks for that softball question. It's two answers. First of all, let's be very, very clear. It is possible that there isn't anything funnier than a guy in a dress. And if that's the case, then it might also be said that there's nothing funnier than a black guy in a dress. Okay, well, I watched all of my friends throughout my entire life be able to dunk a basketball, but not me. So everybody can't do everything.
Kevin Hart to me seems, quote unquote, for everyone, right? You don't have to be from black culture to get what he's doing.
Right.
But Katt is very much from black culture, right? And I bet his audiences are like 90% black, and we dig the whole pimp vibe, and just even his voice takes us back to like the hood, where Kevin is doing something different. And no disrespect, Kevin's amazing, but he's doing something different, right?
Exactly. They got their own lanes. Katt came into the game, you're correct, with the whole pimp swagger thing. But if you look at Katt in the last 5-8 years, Katt's been doing this to that vibe and that characterization. Now, like the last one was called World War III or something like that. Yeah. So he, in his mind, he's dropping jewels for everybody. Look at what's going on in society. Look at this country. Look at the politics and stuff like that. So he's gotten away from the whole smack a whole tribe.
What comes to mind though when you think back on these days and what was going on in your life? Did you have a gut feeling that this movie was going to be really transformative?
No, check this out. I made $12,000 for doing Hustle and Flow. And then on top of it, what Paramount did, instead of putting my name as Terrence Howard performing the songs, they put performed by DJ. Well, they own DJ. So guess what? The performance royalties went to Paramount. They went,
Wait a minute. They didn't go to Terrence Howard. They went to
$12,000. That's all I ever made from Hustle and Flow. Everything else went right back into Paramount. And they've done that with science for so many years. You look at E = MC squared. That talks about its expansion. It does not show how it's divided. You've never breathed in twice without breathing out. You breathe in and you breathe out. You charge and you discharge. So how is it that the breathing in, they're acting as if the universe is just expanding out, breathing out, and it's going to dissipate out, and they never include the contractive side of it, breathing in, because they were misled by Newton, who said everything moves in a straight line unless affected by something.
Then there is the instance of Kevin Hart. The Katt called Hart an industry plant. According to Katt, Kevin's rapid success was not the result of relentless work or innate talent. It seemed like a well-built machine, driven by film agreements, that had been negotiated before he had ever set foot in Los Angeles. As few Hollywood people can recall a sold-out Kevin Hart show, Katt doubted the authenticity of Hart's credentials. The implication is clear. It's all part of a bigger scheme when success is created rather than earned, a strategy that essentially helps to silence autonomous and outspoken voices. The carefully crafted narratives of these manufactured stars might be upended by voices like Terrence Howard's.
He got a sitcom where he the principal, and he wear a suit, and then he gets this high top fade, making all black men think he got the best lineup in the business, and it's a man unit. Then you ask it, why you not a movie star? I didn't want to be a movie star. It's the same Negro that hated on Bernie with this same thing. I didn't want to be a movie star. No, you couldn't be a movie star. There are 30,000 new scripts in Hollywood every year. Not one of them asks for a country bumpkin black dude that can't talk good over cable and look like Mr. Potato Head. There ain't none.
I don't know, Katt. We might not let you drink anymore. Well, we ain't even got.
I'm not fueled by alcohol. I've had a sip. Less than you. This is like Steve Harvey telling people he used to be homeless. That's my story. That's not his story. Steve Harvey wasn't never homeless. When Mark Curry was touring with him 25 years ago, he was making $3,000 a show in cash and doing 5 shows a week. They just tell the stories. Thanks to my wife, I'm where I am. You said that about the first wife. You forget that? You told us it was her. Then you went and married somebody else that think like a man. Like, what are you talking about? They think they can rewrite history.
We going through something, we'll call each other because we feel for each other because we know the real person.
Right. Yeah.
I know they lying about you online. I know that podcast is bullshit. Hanging that dog, don't pay no attention to that.
Yeah.
Because and look, man, just because you can talk smooth without saying it don't mean you ain't lying.
Right.
I be sitting up here looking at these podcasts of these other comedians that's going on talking about other comedians. Hold up, dog. Where did that shit come from? When did we become that? When did we get into tear each other down business? Because you ain't never heard me say not a disparaging remark against another comedian nowhere. You ain't heard him or him. Because we ain't cut from that cloth.
Right.
So what is your motive for doing this here? And you're not going to tear him down. And look, man, I got a real platform.
Then they wouldn't have a problem with 1 times 1 equaling 2. Or
why are you offended by 1 times 1 equaling 2?
Just because action and reaction, the universe, it's the separation of math from science when math was supposed to define physical things. So when they have things that doesn't align, we can't make sense. The rest of the audience don't understand. They're like, wait a minute, well.
Okay, objects in motion tend to remain in motion, right?
That was his first law.
Well, what do objects at rest do?
There's no object at rest.
So you have a problem with Mr. Newton.
There are no objects at rest because everything is sitting on something.
Hollywood's brutal tactics, Katt claims that the main concept of Mark Curry's hanging with Mr. Cooper was imitated by the Steve Harvey Show. For Katt, this is a symbol of the extent to which these superstars will go to preserve their notoriety. Not merely a case of idea theft, it's about supporting powerful individuals and utilizing the game to uphold their meticulously cultivated personalities, even if it silences someone in the process. In the end, this transaction pushes courageous, uncompromising voices like Terrence Howard's to the margins while the system keeps running smoothly.
Like stars and get offered that kind of thing, like to compromise themselves sexually for entertainment.
I was as shocked as anybody about how powerful Harvey Weinstein was at the time that I was meeting with him and how he could not be told no. You follow what I'm saying?
They'll figure out some way.
Right. So I thought that didn't apply to me because I don't care about nothing but bitches and good business, right? In these scary situations, I don't even leave it up to me. Like, I'm gonna do what the superhero would do in this part of the movie, regardless. Who gonna turn down $50 million? Now, I've had to turn down $50 million 4 times. 4 times. Just to protect my integrity and that virgin hole I was telling you about. Right. Because P. Diddy be wanting to party. And you gotta tell him no. You got to tell him no. I did.
Like people say, well, what business do you have coming in here talking about science and all that? You're an actor. You want to know what my first patent was? The entire AR, VR world was built off of my first patent that was abandoned. I want you to see the list of companies. They built the entire AR, VR world off of my World of Windows patent. Can you pull that up, Jamie? You'll see my name, inventor, Terrence Howard.
System and method for merging virtual reality and reality.
Now you see,
this is all you.
Yeah, this look at the inventor, worldwide patent, 2010, and look at all the companies. And if you look at the patent, multi-billion-dollar companies they built off of my patent. Just roll through.
Sony, Microsoft, Amazon,
IBM, and it's still making money. This patent has earned over $7 trillion.
And you didn't get a piece.
And I haven't got it.
Katt also described one of his most amazing personal encounters when the notorious Harvey Weinstein made an offer that was above all possible limits. According to reports, Weinstein, whose name has come to symbolize abuse of power in Hollywood, offered a $50 million deal that was more than just a business deal. It was a degrading transaction meant to buy silence and obedience. Katt's blatant denial of this offer was a statement more than only a financial one. According to him, upholding dignity cannot be sacrificed. In addition to ignoring Weinstein, his refusal to back down revealed a wider corporate practice, where unethical behavior and shortcuts are used to stifle people who are willing to question authority.
But the matter is, the Money Mike in the original script got in the bathroom. Katt Williams had to take the risk in front of the studios and the cast and our powers that be in his very first movie and say respectfully, the problem with Friday After Next is we're trying to make a classic comedy. And this comedy involves a rape. And a rape is never funny, no matter who it happens to or what the circumstances are. If you would allow me to allow us to do this movie without a black man getting raped in it, I promise you that it will be twice as fun.
Katt Williams has had an extremely rough life, starting with being homeless and alone at age 13. Combine that with the chaotic lifestyle of a comedian, constantly being on the road, late nights, irregular sleeping and eating schedules, the pressure to constantly deliver funny and engaging performances, as well as regularly dealing with hecklers and sometimes unresponsive audiences who make the job mentally taxing. And on top of all of that, add the potentially evil Hollywood gang that Katt says is actively trying to get him to compromise his morals, but when he refuses, they blackball him and run smear campaigns to call him crazy. That is a recipe that would make any man go mad.
There was a crossroads where we were both invited to an Illuminati thing and decisions had to be made. So it was both of us, we were equal. One of us had to cut off all their hair and couldn't do the sideburn thing no more with the points. And the next person they said was going to get $200 million because they were going to pay him $10 million a movie to do 20 movies. And that's how the conversation happened. One of those persons turned out to be Ludacris, and the other person turned out to be Katt Williams.
It's really hard to back up any of Katt's claims, and even if the stipulation of getting a $200 million deal is that you have to shave your head and sideburns, that seems like an extremely small compromise. And there are no indications that Ludacris ever sold his soul. I mean, he will tell you.
Nobody knows why liars lie, and that's why I had to come on the program.
Katt exists in this middle ground where nobody can really determine if he is telling the truth, if he is lying, if he's telling a joke, if he's on drugs, if he has a mental illness, or if he is clearly exposing the dark and sinister nature of Hollywood.
These aren't just celebrity squabbles. They are an intentional attempt by Hollywood's elite to control the narrative. An effort that even goes so far as to muzzle anyone who criticized the misconduct and excesses of the industry by stifling true talent like Terrence Howard's and encouraging allegiance via division. Katt Williams is setting everything out for us and showing how every case of predatory conduct, manufactured celebrity, and intellectual theft is a part of a broader trend that maintains the current quo. If these subjects speak to you, please leave a comment below with your thoughts on how deeply ingrained Hollywood secrets are. Like and subscribe to the video if you want more frank conversations and in-depth research.